Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to Post Cologne. Today we're talking about a brand new Lattafa, and it's Lattafa's Simply Oud. Alright, so Simply Oud is from the House of Lattafa. It is an eau de parfum concentration, and you can pick this sucker up for about $25 at places like Triple Traders. I'll have a link down in the description if you decide you want to check this one out. Presentation on this, pretty straightforward, a regular rectangle box. It does have kind of a nice gold shimmery front to it, and this is kind of like a paper cutout sort of texture with this pattern. All the necessaries on the back, but overall not that impressed with the box, but I do like this bottle. It is a really nice kind of simple design, but it has that kind of pattern sort of overlay with it on the front and the side, as well as the cap. So nice little touch, a little pizzazz added to this bottle. So good job, Lattafa. It does look nice. It's kind of like a nice modern design, a little bit classy on the same time. Cap on this is a nice metal cap. It's not super thick, but it is a metal cap with the Lattafa logo up front. And the atomizer on this is pretty nice. It gets big, wide sprays and a decent distribution. So overall presentation on this, especially for $25, I am pretty impressed. So good job, Lattafa. So if you are wondering what Lattafa Simply Oud smells like, you have come to the right place, because I'm about to tell you. Some of the notes listed in this are cardamom, pepper, jasmine, rose, praline, raspberry, musk, moss, oud, and amber. That was a lot to remember off the top of my head. Let me tell you what I get from this fragrance. The opening on this, you get a nice, sweet, soft style of accord with that praline, that raspberry, and some of those florals that are in the mid. They really kind of push out, come through, mix together. You're getting just a really nice, sweet style of fragrance. The raspberry doesn't punch through as like a raspberry note. It's more kind of like a red berry note. You do get that kind of fruity sweetness from it, and it mixes with that praline, which kind of has more of that kind of caramel style of sweetness to it. The jasmine and the rose don't stand out as individual notes. Like the rose does not punch through as a rose note, but it does add that kind of soft, florally sweetness to it. And it's just a really nice combination of those three different kind of sweet notes, all kind of blending together and singing really quite nice. The cardamom that's in the top of this doesn't add like a spiciness to it, but it kind of adds like a bit of freshness to this. This does have like a hint of freshness mixing with those sweet accords. This is not a spicy fragrance at all. The black pepper I do not pick up on whatsoever. There's not a lot of spice or any spice that's involved with this one. You do get some of that oud, but the oud in this fragrance is not like a super Middle Eastern punchy in the face style of oud. It's kind of plays in the background a little bit. It has kind of that sweet oud style of vibe. I'm not sure if it's because it's mixing with those sweet accords or if it's just the style of oud used in this fragrance, but it does kind of sit in the background. It adds that character to it, but it doesn't come forward as a very strong oud or a main player in this fragrance. Just enough to give it that kind of character. As it starts to develop, you get a little bit more of that moss and that amber starts to come through. So you get a little bit more kind of like earthy woodiness that starts to come through. And you also get that vanillic sort of amber coming through that adds just a little bit of powderiness to it. So it adds to that texture. It adds to that kind of soft, sweet sort of vibe that this fragrance gives off. And it's really, really enjoyable. It's very cozy, soft, inviting, kind of a cuddle up fragrance. And all of those accords coming together just makes this a really enjoyable fragrance. So when it comes to the performance of Lattafa's Simply Oud, I'm actually pleasantly surprised. Based on the scent profile on this being so smooth, soft, sort of cozy, I did not think this would stick around for very long. I was figuring it would be a little bit below average, maybe 5 hours, 6 hours at most, but this did stick around for about 7-8 hours, not a problem. But the projection is very mild. This does not push out very hard. This is not an aggressive fragrance whatsoever. It is very cozy, very soft, and it does sit fairly close. But longevity-wise, I was really surprised that this stuck around. I've worn this as a bedtime fragrance a number of times, and I'll wake up in the morning 7-8 hours later, and it's still there. It's still very noticeable. I've worn this through an entire workday, and again, same thing. But again, the projection is not very good. That's one thing I wish it maybe projected a little bit more, a little bit harder. But I get it because of the scent profile on this. This does have that vibe of being very cozy and very soft and very smooth. So it does sit very close. Your scent bubble is fairly intimate. But overall performance on this, I am quite happy with. This is one of those fragrances that you can overspray. If you're a typical 5-6 sprayer, this was one of those ones where you can do like 8, 10, maybe even 12, because it is so soft, it's so inoffensive, and it is very like crowd-pleasing, mass appealing. This won't get aggressive if you go too crazy on the streets. Don't overdo it though. Don't like do 20 sprays. That might be too much. But overall, you can overspray this one. I think you can get away with it, and it's just got that really inviting scent profile to it. So overall, performance, really happy. So when it comes to occasions and seasons that you can wear Lattafa Simply Oud, I think this is a perfect date night fragrance, perfect evening out fragrance. I do think you can wear this casually. I think it has that sort of mass appeal, inoffensive, crowd-pleasing style of scent profile to it. You can run errands, go to lunch, just go about your daily business wearing this one, and you would do just fine. But it does have that kind of flirty, cozy, cuddly, sexy style of vibe to it that I think this just would do great for date nights and great for evenings out. In terms of seasons, I think this is definitely for more of a cool weather style of fragrance because it has that kind of sweetness to it, that kind of warm vanillic amber mixed with that kind of caramel praline and some of that fruity red berries with that oud, that little bit of woods. I think it just has more of a fall winter style vibe to it, or even kind of a cool spring evening, or even a cool summer evening. As long as it doesn't get too warm, I think cool evenings, fall, winter, this is going to shine in that kind of temperature. So my overall thoughts on Lattafa Simply Oud is this is a very enjoyable fragrance. Very pleasant, very inoffensive. It has that sort of crowd-pleasing, mass appeal style of scent profile to it. Those sweet accords that come through are just balanced off just perfect in my opinion. It has that nice kind of praline caramel with that red berry, raspberry sort of vibe, mixed with those soft florals, that warm vanillic amber that kind of comes through, and just that woodiness that kind of rounds things out, giving it a little bit more of a masculine edge to it, and that pop of oud that's in the back, that's kind of more of a sweet oud that kind of sits in the background but adds just enough character to give this a touch of a Middle Eastern vibe, but not an overly aggressive in-your-face style of oud. I think it's just a really nice scent accord, really well blended, smooth, soft, sexy, flirty, overall just very enjoyable. Now that being said, this is a very basic style of fragrance. This is not overly complex. This is not going to be kind of a niche style sort of a experience when you first encounter this fragrance. Very pleasant, but might not blow your socks off necessarily is what I'm saying. Very basic, but very pleasant, very easy to wear, and for $25, I think it's definitely worth checking out. It's Lattafa's Simply Oud. And I want to hear from you guys. What's one of your favorite Middle Eastern date night fragrances? Comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. I love all your different recommendations, your different opinions on things, so go do that right now. Comment down below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.